This gives us a little introduction to our class program. There'll be other aspects of it enter in as we go along, but the opportunity to have such a class here on Sunrise Ranch is something that appears by reason of the fact of the Church of the Emissaries of Divine Light. The church program is a part of the work of the Third Sacred School. This program of special training for which you are now here is also a part of the Third Sacred School. We might say that any really constructive endeavor, this may sound fantastic to you to start with, but any constructive endeavor, anything that has a part toward moving to the fulfillment of the divine design, anywhere, through any person, upon the face of the whole earth, is a part of the Third Sacred School program. Every church on the face of the earth, every religious body that has any meaning and truth, or that is being of any service in blessing human beings, whether they know it or not, is within the pattern of the Third Sacred School. Every human being, whether in the scientific world or the industrial world or professional world or anything else, regardless of place on the face of the earth, color, creed, language, it matters not. Everything, little or large, that has a part toward moving the mass of humanity toward the fulfillment of God's will on earth is contained in the scope of the program of the Third Sacred School. This program is not something that was recently inaugurated. The application to the present problems was initiated at the time of the fall. Our program doesn't just date back to the time that Jesus came into the world, or some such period. His coming into the world was a part of the Third Sacred School program. The prophets before him, who revealed in the current of the Holy Spirit some of the truths of being, patterns of the divine design, were a part of the Third Sacred School program. The application to the world's need in the fallen state was established at the time of the fall. But the Third Sacred School was not initiated at the time of the fall. only an application of its purpose, was altered to meet the need. But the third sacred school was initiated at the time of the creation of man, in the beginning of the history of this world. From the time of the creation of man, there has been a definite program working. Most human beings know little or nothing about it. But it's there. And in coming here, you have accepted a degree of responsibility in a conscious realization of relationship to this great program that has been in action down through the millennia. The third sacred school was functioning long before the fall of man. And has continued to function, both with respect to the true purpose, which you will understand more about as we go along, and the specific immediate purpose of saving man from the results of his wrong function. We look back in history and see that which was accomplished by great men and women, and we recognize that they had a part to play in making this hour possible. They may have made mistakes, and what they did may not have, in all things, been perfect, but they had a part. Those who have worked to build, say, the railroads, or to develop the highway system in any capacity, whether designing, developing in any fashion, or working as a laborer. Any man who has ever worked upon a railroad or a highway, between here and there, wherever that may be, has unknowingly probably, but definitely had a part in making this possible. And in that pattern of life expression, there may have been many things that ought not to have been, but there was a contribution to the program of the third sacred school. It is impossible for any human being to live upon the face of the earth, whether he knows it or not. It is impossible for any human being to live upon the face of the earth without doing something, without contributing something to the program of the third sacred school. He may, in some respects, do things that seem to or actually do hurt it. There may be oppositions, but even oppositions are used. But there is, in every life, where there is anything that could in any sense be called normal or natural, or that unheard of thing, the average. There isn't any, really. But every person has contributed something constructively. even those who may be classified as evil by reason of their life pattern. They may not know it. It may not be immediately evident to the human vision. But every person who has lived on the face of the earth, before or since the fall, has contributed to the program of the Third Sacred School. We begin to realize that while it has been a seemingly slow process, all who have gone before us have had a part, and all who live on earth now have a part. We begin to realize something of the integrating factors, so that you are not thinking of yourself on a segregated basis. Others have gone before us to make this possible. People have lived and died and suffered and gone through all sorts of things so that we could have this hour. And so there are factors of appreciation to God and to the working of His will in the children of men, extending in all directions, in all fields. You begin to realize what it means to be a citizen of the world and a citizen of the Christ kingdom, by which you may be a good citizen of your country, whatever it may be.